homemade protein powder recipes that come on the reels, which are made using nuts and dals.
They are not protein powders, no. They cannot even compare to what protein supplements we have. So please understand this. Protein supplements, that is protein powders, cannot be made at home. Okay, so stop trying. Instead, use all of that makhana and dal and nuts and everything in your food.
Right.
Eat them as is. You don't have to grind them and then add them in milk and then drink it and think that you are having a homemade protein supplement. You're not.
One common mistake that people make when starting with protein supplements.
They start with something which is like super chocolatey and tastes really good instead of looking at the actual label and the protein content of it.
One supplement myth you hate hearing.
That protein supplements are steroids. They're not. They're not.
Women especially fear taking the protein powders thinking it will make them bulk. So is that true?
Oh my god, I wish it was. Okay, I wish it was. Like if we just taking one protein supplement was going to make you give big muscles. I mean, all of us would have been walking around so jacked and with solid muscles. But unfortunately, it's not true.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Ask Amita podcast. So our today's topic is something that intrigues us all, which is protein supplement. Which to take, how many scoop to take. It's all very confusing for all of us. So we want answers for all of that today.
All right.
So before starting with that, we see that there's a boom of protein supplements in the recent years. More and more people are talking about it right now. So any particular reason that we are talking so much about protein supplements today?
It's because we have now realized that globally a lot of people are protein deficient, and we've also understood that most of our problems, like something as simple as me not feeling enough energy or getting super exhausted in the day, or me trying to manage my blood sugar levels, or the fact that I want my hair to be shiny, my skin to be glowing and everything, all of those problems are at the root cause, they have protein deficiency. Okay, and one of the reasons that protein supplements have now become more popular is also cause of acceptance. So I'll tell you, when 10, 15 years ago, only people who were into bodybuilding, as in who were trying to be in performance bodybuilding or were athletes, they used to be taking protein supplements, okay? And now with an increasing understanding of strength training, now with people understanding that, hey, we need to ensure that we are maintaining our muscle along with, doing the cardio or just burning calories on the treadmill, people have also realized because of that the importance of protein supplements in their life. Having said that, the biggest driver for protein supplements till date continues to be ease.
Okay.
Because all the people who would have tried to meet their protein requirements through food would have found that it is not that easy to eat as much protein in the first place. And secondly, it's also not always very handy. Because a lot of us, we are now mobile. We are eating when we are driving, or we don't have a lot of time to be cooking. So because of that, people realize that protein supplement becomes an easy gap filler, easy way of filling the gap of protein. And that's why it's now become that much more popular.
Popular, yes. So now we see protein supplements everywhere. So it can be at, the medical stores. But especially it is more so with the gym goers. Like the moment you get into the gym, you are started with a protein supplement. So as you said, it's not just for the gym goers, but for everyone at large.
Yes. And the funny thing is that it seems that now people are becoming, or if you're going to the gym, then you're going to be taking a protein supplement. But when I was growing, when I was a kid, even then, giving additional extra protein powders or milk powders to kids was very common, and it continues to be so. So It's not that people didn't know the importance of protein, but they used to think that it's only important in the growing years. So,
Right.
protein as a maintenance tool, protein as something which helps you to be healthy, maintain your health, was not understood. And which is why now you find that even adults are like on an everyday basis, you will find people, a lot of people opting for protein supplements because they have understood its importance. Plus, we also thankfully now have that much more variety available in your protein supplements. So it continues to be a part of many products, be it for kids or be it for elders.
Right. So, is there any difference between, like, say, the protein supplement and the protein we are eating through meals?
Great question. The protein that we are eating through meals, the beauty of it is that along with the protein that you're eating, so let's take an example of eggs. Okay, eggs are giving you protein, they're also giving you healthy fats, they're
Yes.
also giving you some other nutrients like the carotenoids, they're giving you vitamin A, okay, they're giving you vitamin D. So you are getting from food or the food sources of protein other nutrients as well, which is why we say that the protein supplement needs to be treated as that, as a supplement and not a mainstay. Okay, so you should not be looking at a protein supplement to give you say more than 10 or 12 20% of your everyday protein requirements. So you do continue to need to be eating good food and healthy food, protein rich food along with that. So that's the difference. And plus it's also more in a bioavailability of protein that you are getting from food, especially the animal based protein is a little higher than what you would find in most of the blend protein supplements, because of course you do have protein supplements now which have a higher PDCA score than other food items, but still as a practicing nutritionist, I would tell you that you should not be looking at just eating protein supplements and, the other food I will get, say I'll eat my roti and everything, and morning, evening, I'll just keep on taking protein supplements. So that's what you need to be looking at. So both are okay to have, to answer your question of what is better, whether food is better or supplement is better. Both are okay to have, but an over reliance on supplements is not recommended.
So, you can have the protein supplement, as a snack, but it should not replace the protein in your meal, essentially.
It could sometimes, but not every day.
Every day. Okay. So now speaking on the different varieties of protein, we have different whey protein, casein protein, and soy protein. So how do I know which works best for me?
Okay. So, which works best for me is what is going to suit your lifestyle the most and also your body or your digestion. Okay. So, let's start with the most common protein supplement type, which is a whey concentrate. Okay. Whey concentrate in the current market is the cheapest protein that you can get. Even when I'm saying cheapest, it's not like 100 rupees. It's still like a 2000. Yeah. So, it's still like a 2000 rupees a kg situation, but still one of the cheaper options. Whey concentrate is something which is also very widely used in all of your protein bars and all the protein snacks that we have in India now. And if you are able to digest that, then you can very well have that. That will be like the best thing to have because it's easily available, it's budget friendly, it's also tasty because whey concentrate tastes nicer, okay, than say other protein options. If you are someone like me who is lactose intolerant, then there's a high chance that I will not be able to, or rather I know that I can't, but there is a high chance that you will not be able to digest a whey concentrate. So you will start seeing some tummy ache or you'll start seeing some flatulence if you're lactose intolerant. In that scenario, you should be opting for a whey isolate. Okay, now what is a whey isolate? It is a more refined or a more processed form of the whey concentrate, because of which it's reduced to a very easily absorbable form of whey, and you also have some digestive enzymes added to it which makes it lactose free. Okay, so you have lactose dehydrogenase added to the whey isolate powders that we get, and because of that it becomes easier to digest for people who have lactose intolerance as well. The next kind in whey is whey hydrolysate. So hydrolyzed whey is the option. So that's also a good partially digested form, which can be used by people. Hydrolyzed or hydrolyzed are not that easily available, and also not that commonly used. Most people opt for either a concentrate or an isolate only.
There are also these blends that come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if like that would also you would know by trying only, right?
Yes, yes. So again, in the blend, so you common forms, some common protein supplements that we have in our country today. So they are a blend of a concentrate and isolate. Okay, but it again depends on how you are feeling, because not everyone is going to be able to digest it. So you will need to try it out and then see if you are able to digest it. Then sure, why not have a blend is also fine.
Right.
From a protein score point of view, it still remains good, so that doesn't change things. Another protein supplement that you have from, these are all milk based, dairy based protein supplements. So what you have is casein.
Okay.
Now, casein takes longer to digest. It's a milk protein. Again, it takes longer to digest. So, it's usually used by athletes. Like, we don't recommend it for everyday largely sedentary people like you and I, who are probably just working out an hour in a day. Casein is not recommended for them. Again, most people with lactose intolerance will not be able to digest casein. But if you're not lactose intolerant, then you can take it at night, and it's usually used for recovery, helps in recovery. So we give it to athletes who are not lactose intolerant. So those are the protein types which are coming from your dairy based, like milk based ones.
Right.
And then you have the plant based protein supplements. Okay. Whether you should be going for a whey-based protein or a plant-based protein will depend on the factors like taste, digestion, price point, everything, okay, availability. So if for whatever reasons, okay, in terms of taste, in terms of digestion, everything, whey is not suiting you, then I would recommend that you can opt for a plant-based. Okay. A lot of times people think that plant-based options are easier on the gut. They are lighter on the gut, and that is how they're also advertised, right? They're lighter on the gut kind of stuff. But that's not true, So in fact, we found that people who have, say, gut issues, a lot of times they are better able to digest the whey isolate as compared to, say, a soy protein or a pea protein. Okay, so because a lot of people, especially people with IBS as well, they would have, say, sensitivities to foods like rajma, chana, besan, and everything. So when the plant protein is derived from these items, so it's mostly the most common plant proteins are going to be derived from soy. So soy protein, you have pea protein, which is also very common. You have hemp, quinoa, rice. These are the options. You also now have in plant proteins, you have things like mung bean protein is also available. And you also have other chickpea and other derivatives. So essentially all legumes can give you protein, and you have proteins derived from that. You also have rice protein, so which is a very, very expensive say protein supplement, but that is recommended if you're not able to digest any of these others.
Okay. So the lightest on the gut is going to be the rice protein.
Yes, actually the lightest on the gut or the most hypoallergenic is going to be the rice protein. But you most commonly used are even within plant proteins, you will find the plant proteins to be a blend. So it will be a blend of a pea protein and quinoa and hemp, or it will be soy protein with pea protein and some quinoa or rice protein to make the amino acid profile complete.
Okay. So now coming while buying these protein, there are so many products in market today. So what are the things that you should look for while buying a product?
Okay. So when you're buying a product, you should be looking for rating. You should be looking for the certifications. Most good, say, brands are going to put out what certifications or what labs they have accreditations from, and whether it's a clean brand or not. Other things that you should be also looking out for is how much protein does it really contain. So any protein supplement which has at least 20 grams, so 20 grams plus in one scoop. So a scoop of protein is going to be anywhere around 30 to 35 grams, sometimes 40 grams. Okay. So one scoop of protein should give you at least 20 grams of protein. Then that's like, worth the money that you are spending on. Otherwise, you are just going to end up paying too much for sugar, because that's the other very common additive that we find in the cheaper protein supplements or protein powders, especially in the kids category. Okay, so you have a lot of milk-based powders and beverages supplements which are marketed towards young children, and those are largely sugar, very less protein. Even for seniors, you have protein supplements which are recommended by pharmaceutical companies, or which are recommended medically, but those are actually very low on protein, especially for elder health management. So look for anything which has at least 20 grams of protein per scoop is what you need to be looking at, and look at the additives. So you don't want too many things in your protein supplement. Okay, so it is a time that you are able to see that it should not contain any sugar for that matter. Okay, or if at all it is sweetened, then it should be sweetened with something like dates, or it should be sweetened with, say, a coconut sugar. Okay. Other than that, it should not contain any sweeteners. Okay. It should not contain any sugar, but the protein could also contain other sweeteners like monk fruit sweetener, erythritol, stevia. It could contain even aspartame and sorbitol in some places. So you may want to look at what are the additives to that as well.
So those are okay, those additives are...
Yeah, those are okay. But if you have gut issues, then sorbitol may not work for you. Okay, that will give you indigestion, or it will give you too many gases. Okay, so look for that. And you don't want too many synthetic flavors, and like you don't want it to start tasting like a cookies and cream ice cream, know. So make sure that it doesn't have too many additives to it, and of course, like the heavy metals in that should be within the limits. Okay, because all protein supplements are going to contain some amount of heavy metals because of the processing that they undergo, but it should not be like too much. Another thing very common in protein supplements that happens is the amino spiking. So which is where you will find that the companies will say on the label that this contains 30 grams of protein per scoop and everything, which realistically is not possible. So if you find some claims in terms of the protein content to be too good to be true, then it is possible that they have added melamine to it, and it's been like nitro spiked. Okay, amino
So that's a red flag.
That's a massive red flag, and you should not be going for such protein supplements. So as a thumb rule, anything between 20 to 24 grams per scoop is good enough, So if it contains more protein than is going to be healthier for me is not true.
Okay. Also, one confusion that always lies is that when to start with the protein supplement. So these questions, like many teenagers, moms have, like when can the kid start with the protein supplement?
I don't recommend any protein supplements or milk powders for young children at all. Kids under 16 years of age should be eating their food, should not be taking any protein supplements, unless they are athletes and unless they are like professionally playing some sport or such. Even then, if they are taking a supplement, it should be happening under the supervision of a professional, of a clinician or a sports nutritionist, and not on their own.
Correct, yes.
And one common misconception is that if I drink or take more protein, is going to give me more energy. That is not true. Okay. So to be able to use a protein supplement well, you have to be exercising along with it.
Correct.
Okay, which is also why it brings us to the point that you raised earlier, where we should start at gym and people start giving you protein supplement, because you cannot.
That's when your activity increases.
Yeah. So although you should be, say, for anyone who wants to start a protein supplement, If you're someone who finds that you're just not able to eat enough, or you're so busy that half the times you're skipping your meals, or say you're in a hostel or something, you're an adult who doesn't have access to good quality food, then you could consider a protein supplement. And especially elders, say people like my mom, who's now 60 plus. So she is unable to eat as much protein as I would tell her to. So if I tell her to eat 100 grams of paneer, she'll be like, I can't eat so much, right?
Correct.
So in that situation, we start a protein supplement.
Other question is, can we add protein supplement to say the roti dough or in our dal?
Yeah, absolutely.
can.
You can add. So you get, thankfully nowadays, you get many other options. So you have heat stable, okay, or bake stable protein supplements as well. So you can add them very well to your dals and to your, say, the roti dough or even the bread and cakes and everything. So you can add it to that. No problems at all.
Yeah. And basically, how many scoops can we take? Like, what's the max limit of a scoop? Like, that should be like an alarming sign, like not more than this now.
So for anyone who is leading a sedentary life, I would not recommend more than 1 scoop of protein per day. Okay, so that is the limit. Other than that, you should be eating your food. Okay, don't rely too much on it as well.
So now we also see like a new type of protein which is marketed everywhere. So that's yeast protein.
Yes.
So what are your views on that?
Yeast protein is a good option, but again, you will need to see how you're feeling with it. So it is marketed as something which is gut friendly because whey concentrate gives, say, bloating and everything to a lot of people. But even yeast protein doesn't suit everyone. Okay, and especially some people will start seeing delayed bloating with it. Okay, so while with whey concentrates, you will find that the bloating starts happening, say, within an hour or so. But with yeast protein, you could start seeing bloating happening, say, after 4 or 5 hours in some people, not for everyone. And the taste is also different. So it's a bit of an acquired taste from the yeast protein. It smells a little different. So I find it useful to add to, say the atta and add it to a dal and something. You can do that. But again, see how it's suiting you.
Okay. So how can I know that like the protein that I'm taking is suiting me well?
Great question. If you're not getting any bloating with it, if you're not getting any stinky fats with it, if you are, like say, not feeling too heavy and sluggish, because some protein supplements, if your body is not able to digest it well, it will actually make you feel sluggish and feel like heavy. It will make you feel like that protein supplement is still stuck in your throat and hasn't gone down. So that can lead you to indigestion. So that is when you would know that it's not suiting you. Other ways would be that some people will actually get like a little bit of a tummy ache if they are not liking it. And of course, there's say the taste factor. So when choosing a supplement again, or whether it's suiting you or not, that taste could, in my opinion, it could be a determinant. There are people who take it as medicine.
Right.
Like, I need it. I need to take it, so I'm just going to drink it.
Enjoy it.
Even if not enjoy, it should be something that you can see yourself doing for a long time.
Correct.
Because if you have made the choice of now opting for a protein supplement, it is because your, say, diet is lacking that much protein every day, right? So then you're going to take it for a really long time. So in that scenario, again, taste becomes important. So whether you are able to, consume it as is or not. Like if someone gives me a whey concentrate to drink, because of my lactose intolerance and because now since a really long time I have not had any dairy products, I actually feel nauseated. If I end up, having even a sip of whey concentrate. So that could be any of you guys as well. So it's a consideration that,
you should be able to sustain it first.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. So now we'll move to the rapid fire. So whey protein or plant protein, your pick?
My pick, whey isolate.
Okay. So one common mistake that people make when starting with protein supplements.
They start with something which is like super chocolatey and taste really good instead of looking at the actual label and the protein content of.
Your thoughts on homemade protein powder recipes that come on the reels, which are made using nuts and dals?
They are not protein powders, no. They cannot even compare to what protein supplements we have. So please understand this. Protein supplements, that is protein powders, cannot be made at home. Okay, so stop trying. Instead, use all of that makhana and dal and nuts and everything in your food.
Right.
You know, eat them as is. You don't have to grind them and then add them in milk and then drink it and think that you are having a homemade protein supplement. You're not.
Your message to people who come on reels and say that, stop with those protein powders and have the sattu laddu instead.
My message to them is stop lying to people that one sattu laddu is barely giving you 2 grams of protein. So
Yeah.
it cannot compare with a 24-gram like scoop of protein at all.
Right. What's the weirdest thing that you have seen people mix in their protein smoothie or shake?
Spirulina.
Oh. Okay. One supplement myth you hate hearing.
That protein supplements are steroids. They're not. They're not.
Women especially fear taking the protein powders thinking it will make them bulk. So is that true?
Oh my God, I wish it was. Okay, I wish it was. Like, if we just taking one protein supplement was going to make you give like, big muscles, I mean, all of us would have been walking around so jacked and like, with solid muscles. But unfortunately, it's not true. If you want to build muscles, you have to exercise. So you're taking protein supplement, you have to be hitting the gym, you have to be lifting weights. Only then it's going to become muscle. Also on that note, taking more protein supplements or eating that much more protein, like, starting replacing your, say, meals with 2 scoops of protein and thinking that now I will get muscle or more strength is also not true. Okay. The other problem with that is that it can actually exceed. You can end up taking too many calories because you are now eating too much protein and too many protein supplements. So you need to ensure that you are eating it in a right balance.
So these were our thoughts on the protein supplement. If you have any more questions, please drop them in the comments below.
And don't forget to subscribe. A lot of you are watching this but are not subscribing. So please subscribe to this channel and let us know who all did you share this video with. I think this will be most useful to share with parents who are being very resistant to protein supplements. So give it a go. Share it on WhatsApp. You have the share button right here.